So you just finished Marshmallow and you're probably sitting there thinking, wait, what did I just watch? Was this a camp slasher, a ghost story, or some creepy sci-fi experiment gone wrong? Honestly, that's the beauty of Andy Greskoviak's Marshmallow. So it starts off like your typical campfire horror slasher, but ends up spiraling into something way stranger, almost like Black Mirror meets Friday the 13th. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Let's break it all down. What actually happened at Camp Almar? What the deal is with the doctor? Whether the kids were even alive in the first place? And of course, that shocking final scene with Collins.
Saw him. He came out of my room, Morgan. You have no...
The setup, Morgan's nightmares, and his isolation. At the heart of this story is Morgan, who's basically the definition of an outsider. He's plagued with lucid nightmares where he drowns, he's constantly bullied, and he doesn't exactly have the charisma to make friends easily. But that his parents, typical overly positive suburban types, think sending him to camp will toughen him up. But after losing his grandfather Roy, the one adult who actually understood him, Morgan feels completely abandoned. Already, the movie sets up this theme of trauma and memory. Morgan's drowning dreams, they're not just nightmares. They're his subconscious replaying the childhood moment when Roy saved him from nearly drowning. That unresolved fear ties directly into the movie's ending.
He was taking human lives and creating monsters.
The camp and the creepy doctor legend. When Morgan arrives at Camp Almar, it looks like your standard summer camp. Overly chipper counselors, kids divided into cliques, and of course bullies like CJ waiting to make Morgan's life miserable. But then comes the campfire story. Rachel, one of the counselors, gleefully tells the tale of a doctor who once lived nearby. By day, he was a family man. By night, he locked himself in the basement where he mutilated people, stitched them together, and tried to create monsters. When his wife discovered his secret, he killed her and his kids to preserve them as part of his experiments. Now, on the surface, this feels like a classic camp ghost story meant to spook the kids. But Marshmallow loves to blur that line between myth and reality, because before long, Morgan starts seeing the so-called doctor lurking around the woods. And here's the kicker, this isn't some supernatural ghost with chains and moans. The guy's using tasers. A ghost with a stun baton? Yeah, something doesn't add up.
I can see you, Morgan.
CJ Raj, and the first sign something's wrong, the first real clue that the camp isn't what it seems comes. When CJ, the resident bully, pushes Morgan into the lake as a prank, Morgan nearly drowns, triggering his old trauma, and Raj, one of the only kids who stands up for him, gets brutally beaten by CJ afterward. The counselors promise consequences. Collins even reassures Morgan that CJ will be handled. But later that night, things escalate. Morgan sees visions, stumbles upon a basement lab, and finds CJ lying open on an operating table, chest split wide. Enter the doctor. This is the moment the movie shifts from camp ghost story to, oh, this is some mad science sci-fi stuff. The kids aren't just scared of legends anymore. There's a real villain running experiments right under their feet. The doctor, ghost, human, or something else? So what is the doctor? Rachel's story suggests a ghost. But the taser, the surgical lab, the way the doctor physically restrains kids, that screams human, except he's not fully human either. As the movie unfolds, it's revealed that the camp staff, the counselors, and even the local cops are in on this. They're not protecting kids, they're delivering them to the doctor. Even Kaz, the stereotypical jock counselor, betrays the kids and hands Sam over. That's when the true sci-fi layer peels back. The doctor isn't haunting the woods, he's part of a larger system, and the camp isn't just a camp. It's a carefully maintained program.
You forget to sedate the Coco?
Seriously?
Well then what the hell?
The files, the Coco, and the creepy discovery. Remember that Coco Collins gave Morgan? Turns out it was laced with sedatives. The camp has been drugging kids for years to make the process easier. The counselors argue that the sedatives aren't working as well this time, which is why chaos broke out. Morgan and Pilar, his only true ally at camp, dig deeper and stumble across a chilling discovery, a pile of files. Each file contains detailed information about the kids, including their supposed dates of death. Imagine finding a folder with your name on it, and it casually lists the day you're supposed to die. That's when everything clicks. The kids aren't normal children at all.
Calm down. If I didn't have a fucking job to do, I would fuck you up right now.
The big twist, who the kids really are. Franklin, one of the counselors with a guilty conscience, finally spills the truth. And this is where Marshmallow really distinguishes itself from typical slashers. The kids at Camp Almar? They were already dead. Morgan, Pilar, CJ, Raj, every single camper died at some point in their past. But Collins, the camp director, devised a horrifying project. His own son had died, and in his grief, he created a way to recycle kids. Using bizarre science, or maybe even something more supernatural, the camp revives dead children, wiping their memories each summer. The camp's motto, "Come to grow," suddenly makes sense. These kids don't naturally age, they can't develop on their own, so each summer they're brought back, experimented on, and given artificial growth. After adolescence, the program continues in the form of college trips. So it's a lifelong system designed to give grieving parents some twisted consolation. A child who never really grows up but can be maintained like a project. In other words, Morgan wasn't just haunted by trauma. He was haunted by the truth that he was never alive to begin with.
Sure, you eat and drink and bleed and all that stuff, but it's all part of the program.
Morgan and Pilar's choice. Franklin lays it all out for them. They have two options. Go through the process again. Forget what they've learned, wipe their memories clean, and continue existing as part of the system. Rejects the process, keep their memories, and accept that they're not like the others. The movie leaves it deliberately vague what choice they make, but from the way the summer ends, with Morgan finally smiling alongside his friends, it feels like he and Pilar didn't go through with it. Instead, they kept their memories and chose to live authentically, even if that authenticity is built on the truth that they're not normal children. This decision makes Marshmallow less about defeating a killer and more about confronting identity, memory, and trauma. Morgan started the movie as a lonely, bullied kid drowning in nightmares. By the end, he accepts who he is, scars and all.
I started the goddamn program.
I'm not talking about your catastrophe last night, Hugh.
The fate of Collins and the global problem. Now, let's talk about Collins. While Franklin shows regret, Collins doubles down on the program, but cracks are forming. CJ, who went off the rails earlier, is revealed to have malfunctioned. Collins insists they've fixed him, but the problem is spreading. A mysterious caller tells Collins there have been dozens of similar cases worldwide. Other resurrected kids are glitching out, becoming violent, breaking free from the system. What started as one man's grief-driven project has become a global epidemic. And then comes the chilling final scene. Collins is approached by a camper girl drenched in blood holding a knife. Before he can react, she lunges at him. Cut to black, the message is clear, the system is collapsing. These kids are no longer controllable experiments. They're becoming something unpredictable, something dangerous.
It's the doctor. He's killing everyone. It's Kazar too. They're working together.
Hey, calm down.
So was the doctor real or not? Here's the fascinating part. The doctor, as told in Rachel's ghost story, may never have existed, or maybe he did, and Collins modeled his project after him. Either way, the doctor we see in the movie isn't a ghost, it's a role, a persona, a manifestation of the camp's twisted experiments. Think of the doctor as less of a single person and more of a symbol of the camp itself. He's the operator of the program, the surgeon who ensures the kids grow. That's why he has tools like tasers and operating tables rather than supernatural powers. He's science, not spirit.
You're not dead. You're not. Because, you know what? You were never even born.
Themes and meaning behind the ending. So, what's Marshmallow really about? Diced childhood trauma. Morgan's drowning nightmares aren't just scares. They're metaphors for how unresolved trauma follows you. Dodge grief and control, Collins built Camp Almar out of grief, trying to control death itself. But control always slips away. Das identity and memory. If your life is built on a lie, do you want to keep living it blissfully unaware or face the painful truth? Morgan and Pilar choose the latter. Doclace cycles of abuse. The camp system repeats year after year, sedating kids, erasing memories. It's a cycle designed by adults, and the only way to break free is to reject it. By ending with Morgan happy among friends, the film suggests that confronting truth, even when it's painful, is better than living in a fabricated illusion.
Doctor, huh? The doctor, he had CJ in some sort of like operating room. There's blood everywhere.
The future of Marshmallow's story, that last phone call hints at a much bigger world. If there are dozens of malfunctioning cases globally, then Camp Almar is just one piece of a massive network. Imagine if the sequel shows kids worldwide rebelling against the system, glitching out, and seeking revenge on the adults who trap them in these endless cycles. In these endless cycles, the blood-soaked camper girl lunging at Collins could be the spark that ignites that global rebellion. And honestly, I'd watch the hell out of that sequel.
Where the fuck are they?
Our nerdy thoughts? Marshmallow tricks you into thinking you're watching a standard camp slasher. Creepy legend, masked figure, kids in peril. It all feels familiar, but by the end it reveals itself as something much more unsettling, a story about dead kids being recycled in the name of grief and control. The doctor isn't a ghost, it's science gone wrong. The camp isn't safe, it's a factory. And the kids, they're not victims of a random slasher, they're victims of an entire system built on lies. And that's what makes Marshmallow stand out. It's not just another masked killer story. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters aren't ghosts, or slashers at all. They're the systems we build, the lies we tell ourselves, and the way we try to control what we can never truly control. Life and death.
Holy shit!
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.